Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Jacket Talk here with John Cannon. Today's going to be a little fun. Expect some laughs. Expect some stories to be told. When you think of some of the great teams that have, played Edcouch also football, there's one that definitely comes to mind. It's got to be that 2008 YellowJackets team. After all, it's the first team that beat Calallen in the Rio Grande Valley, and they still hold the winning streak for most games won, I believe with 35 or 36. These guys will correct me, I'm sure, once I bring them on camera. But we've got two members of that team here, and I'd like to welcome in former quarterback Eric Nino, known as the Legend, and tight end Artie Tanguma,
known as
who
Artie.
we call the Arab man. Remember, I remember the story that somebody thought you were Arab because you were so tall, and they go, he can't be Hispanic. That's like he looks like he's an Arab. So we called him Ahmed. We called him Ahmed Tanguma. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I had a big old beard too, so that didn't help my case.
You had that same beard.
I know.
That's the same beard he had in high school.
Yeah, guys, hey, welcome to the show, man. This is going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun here. Eric, so many great memories were made on that 2008 team. And, of course, the first one we got to talk about was the first game of the season right out of the bat. Calallen, state ranked. Everybody expected them to be, the best team in Class 4A. Mm-hmm. And, here comes Edcouch Elsa coming in with what a lot of people didn't really know who you were or Artie. It was just kind of one of those, well, they're a Valley team, but they're not going to beat the powerhouse.
Right.
That whole game was intense. Talk about that game.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the tradition here with Edcouch Elsa football, we all knew growing up the stories, well, Calallen, you're going to see them in the playoffs, or we never beat them. So even as a young kid, I would be like, you know what, if I have the opportunity to play them, then, we got to play our tails off. So obviously we knew it was a big game, not just for us, but the whole valley, more importantly for our tradition. Just a hard-fought game, really. I mean, you talk about competition and athletes and what they brought to the table. So hard-fought game. Fortunate to come out of it victorious. Fortunate to have a mismatched type of player over here with Artie. So, happy to get the win, not just for the Valley, but most importantly for our community.
That play is going to go down as one of the, for me, one of the most memorable I ever saw. Walk me through that final drive and that final touchdown play.
Well, it was just confidence, really. Artie's was 6'4", 260. As quick as any skill player. So right off the bat, it's obviously a play we favored in the goal line and red zone situations. I already knew I was going to go to Artie, no matter what. So it was just confidence, really, just getting it up there, giving him an opportunity to get it, and sure enough, right in his hands.
Artie, to come down with that ball, the way you did, I'll never forget it, was the stretch.
Yeah.
It was like an Odell Beckham Jr., if you look at it today, like an Odell Beckham Jr. catch. When he threw the ball in the air and you saw it, did you know right then and there, that ball's mine?
Yeah. Well, to go with Eric said, it started actually in 7-on-7. We played Calallen, we played them over there. Man, and they were jawing.
Yep. Wait
for the season, blah, blah, blah. So I was extra because I was the guy, the little enforcer. I was ready. I was, So just so happens that the guy that was talking smack to me the whole game, 7-on-7, well, he just so happened to be the corner that I went against the last play. And he called it Buffalo Right 700 fade. So I was like, all right, cool. First time we ran it, the guy did hold on to me. I knew I wasn't really going to get to it, so what I did was I sailed the interference. I was like, I fell down, whatever. He called to make sure he called it. All right, cool. Gives us another chance. Ran another play right up the gut. All right, whatever. Got it 2 yards. Called it again. This time I was like, all right, we're closer. I know more or less. He threw it up. My eyes were on it the whole time. And just what it was back of the end zone, just stuck out my hands. As soon as it touched it, it was like one of those, like just reaction, just. I remember falling down, stumbling, leaning on the side, looking at the ref. As soon as he went like that, got up. I ran all the way to the end of the track, ran back, ran one more time, jumped on the bleacher, do one of these, sat down, threw up, and then they were like, hey, you got to go in for defense. And I was like, what? because a lot of people don't realize is, first quarter, we lost our starting linebacker, the outside linebacker, Brandon. Yeah, he tore his ACL. So I was backup from 7-on-7, and I'm an athlete. I'm not a linebacker first, so it was just, fill in, do what you got to do. Eric went linebacker as well. He ended up getting an interception that game. Remember watching it on film, coaches were like, they showed Eric. First of all, Eric's not even in his zone of the play, but he makes an interception. He's just ball hog. That's what he was.
I was trying to be a playmaker.
And sophomore year, people don't realize his first game of the season against Port Isabel, our middle linebacker, J.J. DeLuna, got hurt. Mark Cardenas, the safety, filled in, and Eric had to play starting safety sophomore year. People don't remember that, but.
Yeah, I remember, well, we're going to get to that game, and don't strangle me when we do the Port Lavaca game. I know you guys had to play both ways. But, back to that 2008 year, that was the first time any Valley team would ever beat Calallen. You called it. And I remember you telling me, Cannon, we're going to beat them. Don't worry. Everybody can laugh. But we're going to go down and say we're the first team to beat Calallen. How good of a feeling was it to beat them, and not only that, but to beat them on their home turf?
I mean, it was terrific. Like I said, the importance of it, valley-wide. But like I said, I just wanted to do it for our people, our community. You always heard, well, we can't beat them, and they always, got our number and whatnot. And I'm telling you, man, growing up here, you just, it's football around here is not really a sport, it's a religion. You know what I mean? So you heard all these stories, and I just wanted the opportunity, So it was great. And, just to bring it here, to have that title that, hey, we beat them that year. So
there you go.
It was pretty sweet.
Yeah. Going into the next week, Valley powerhouse, Harlingen High. Number 1 against number 2 is one of the most talked about games ever in the history of the Rio Grande Valley. Before the game even started, you guys went and did something really special, and I remember I covered it. There was a lifelong fan that was in the hospital, and you guys went and visited him the day of the game. You already had motivation coming in, but how much more motivation did that give you guys already going in, knowing that your hearts were more into this game than maybe just everything else?
It's good motivation because you go out there and you play for the people who can't play. There's a lot of people, in wheelchairs. You see them in the stands on that front watching us, cheering us on. They're wishing they were out there. I know now teaching special ed. Those kids that I teach, man, they wish they were out there. And, they're cheering us on. They're the heart and soul. And it's good to play for them. It's good. Any little motivation against a team like Harlingen that year, we needed it. And we barely came out victorious, so we needed any little motivation.
That game was physical. I remember that game was, you took some licks in that game. And I remember there were times I didn't think you were going to get up. But we talk about the play against Calallen, but the one with Roger.
Yeah.
How that's where we saw the magician known as Eric Nino. Talk about that spin-a-rooney move. I don't even know how to describe it, but it looked like a top in the middle of the field, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, Roger's going downfield, touchdown, Edcouch, Elsa.
Yeah.
What happened?
It was raining throughout that whole week, right? So it was very humid during the game.
It was humid and the field was wet.
Yeah.
So that means we had heavy cleats, man.
Sweat. We were dripping in sweat. So luckily,
he slipped out. That's what happened.
He tried to tackle me high, and like I said, we were all very slippery with sweat and whatnot. So, I just kind of stiff armed. You probably can't tell in the video, but I kind of stiff armed him on the way down. Just slipped off, and
Roger was in protection, wasn't he? And then he just slipped out, and you just tossed it. Yeah, because I was in protection, and I slipped out. I was like, hey, like wanting the ball. They gave it to Roger. I was like, all right, even better. And Roger.
But that worked out because you let
I
block
led
for
block
him.
for one player. Roger took off. He tried jumping
Kind
over.
of like Doug Heffernan, you had the big block.
Yeah,
King of Queen.
I had the big block. And then people don't remember him being the big block. Remember the guy in the wheelchair. But anyway, everybody remembers I was that big block.
Yeah.
So it was fun. And I remember because Roger never really tried to jump over anybody. And he tried jumping over that guy. I was right there. He didn't get it, but I was just like, man, that guy. And then next play, I think Justin Cáceres, our fullback, scored. And there's a big old picture of me because he jumps up. We were real good friends. So, yeah.
I think we have that photo, in fact, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a good photo.
So 2 big wins, guys.
Yeah.
And then
Well, before that, hold on. People forget is we played Gregory Portland in the scrimmage before that. And they were ranked 7th. So we went 7th in the scrimmage in the state, went over there, man. We took it to them, Roger scored on the first play. Big tackle. They had some guy, man. They had some linebacker, Franklin. Mr. Proud, you know, everybody, whatever. We had our guy, Luis Garcia, man, Big Louis, defense tackle, playing offensive tackle that game. His name was LaMichael Christian. No, that wasn't. Anyways, took it to him the whole game, man. So we're feeling good, and that's what carried momentum to Calallen, carried it to Harlingen, and by the time we're done with Harlingen and playing Port Isabel, we're like, this is enough emotion for a whole season. Not to mention the 7-on-7 the summer before that. So we were feeling it. That's how I could describe it.
And then finally you come home, and your first home game against Meshach Rivas in Westlake, Ohio.
No.
Oh wait, was it Port Isabel?
It was Port Isabel.
was
Meshach
Port
was
Isabel.
a year before us.
No, okay, that was a year before.
And that game was that was another fighter game because
that's right.
It was our.
See, that was a year off.
Yeah, that's all
There's
right.
been so many memories with you guys. It's hard to put them all into one, one area.
Playing Westlake here was like Eric's second game as a quarterback. A lot of our team was first-year starters, and because of that next year, our senior year, right from the scrimmage, our defense was just flying to the ball and point, man. So a lot of things. The Meshach game helped us. Hey, you know what? The year before, we dominated everybody. This is what a loss feels like. We're gonna come back from this, and we ended up winning district.
That's when the streak began, didn't it? I think
it ended, and then
the streak ended.
It ended, then it began.
39. Okay, so I was wrong. I said 35, 36.
Somewhere in that range.
It was 36. We broke it against Westlake East our sophomore year.
That's right.
And that was our first district game, so it was like 37, 38, 39, and then,
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. The Port Isabel game. Now, this was a team that I believe in one of those years, they went far. They I think they were one step away from like the Final Four. Again, tradition, Coach Stumball. They had the Giat boy. I mean, there's just so many greats that played there. Finally coming home and playing them, I mean, you would think you'd be spent after those two brutal games.
Yeah.
That was one where you left no stone unturned. That one, I think, started to show the numbers game. That's where I remember you broke out that game big time. Was that the one game that you feel was the one where you became the player that you really were?
I mean, it's like Artie said, we had a lot of momentum going in, with the big wins and whatnot. So obviously Port Isabel.
With the East game, the one that we had when we were playing over there, and we were down in the first half, and then we barely.
Yeah, we felt a little burnt off.
That's
there.
the one we won player of the state.
Yeah.
The Westlake East game.
That was a good one too.
That was a district game, wasn't it?
First
Yeah,
district game, and the thing about that one, our bodies are used to Friday. That was a Saturday game.
That's right.
So that Saturday game, it did throw us off. We started off slow. What is his name? Andrew was just killing us. I think it's Andrew Alvarado.
Oh, the running back.
Yeah, it was just killing us. He laid me out a couple times. Yeah, but and we were look. Elsa was vulnerable. That's how I took it because I saw the K-West after. When it was Channel 17, I saw it after. I like to see. And we just looked gassed, but at the end of the first half, Eric threw me a touchdown, and we were up like 28-21 or something like that. And people were just like, it was 28-24. People were like, man, East played a near perfect. I remember K-West guys saying East played a near perfect game, and they're still down at the halftime. And then second half, Eric took over. He did what he did, and
yeah, we talked about it the other day. You had over 400 total yards offense in that game. I know we keep talking about breakout games, but that has to be probably the breakout game there and probably one of your most memorable games. And again, you were rewarded for it.
Yeah.
You're the Built Ford Texas Player of the Week that week.
Right.
What was it about that game that brought out just the best in you, do you think?
I guess just we were a little bit burnt off. We started off flat first half. And I remember looking at the scoreboard, like, man, we can't end up losing this game. We just can't. We got too much going on for us. So, kind of felt like the football guys kind of looked over us, and then just a matter of taking over and leading by example. So I think that's basically just what kind of had that breakthrough for that game. And it was obviously it was a great game.
You get like one lucky break, and I remember it, man. Eric was again being rushed. He was being hurried, and he threw it up. And I had a hip pointer, so I wasn't really going, but he threw it up, and I was going to go get it, and I saw Alex's Nettles just come out, and that ball could have been intercepted easily. And Alex came down with it, and I think that was the final drive for the first half, and that's what carried over to the next half.
There you go. Obviously from there on, you guys just were rolling.
Yeah.
Going in the playoffs, so many people thought this was the year that third round door. We always talk about it, that it seemed like the road ends in the third round for Edcouch Elsa, but it looked like this was the year you guys were just going to break it down. Second game was against Port Lavaca. Mm-hmm. And I'll remember that game. I'll never forget the name, Xavier Archangel. I'm sure you guys won't either.
He ran.
But you guys were up 14-0. I remember the coach from Port Lavaca was furious, screaming his guys, yelling. They couldn't stop you.
Yeah.
But that one fumble
Yeah.
seemed to be the turning point in the game. What happened from there?
I mean, obviously, momentum in the game is critical. Obviously, those are crucial points. Our middle linebacker was due to grades.
That guy
he was our
that
leader.
was Tony, right?
Yeah.
Since the 5th grade, he's been our middle linebacker.
And that guy, the emphasis I had on offense is the same type of emphasis that he had on defense.
Man, probably times 10 because
Yeah.
it's like you need a defensive stop. You looked at Tony like, hey Tony.
And you had to fill in his spot if I'm
And
not mistaken.
and I'm all right, but I'm no Tony Sanchez, man.
Yeah.
That guy would hit you and you felt it next week, man.
Yeah.
So that guy, he would have made Archangel. Yeah. So
Yeah, Archangel had a
he was a little
breakout game.
He
I
ran. He was
remember
fast,
him.
man. He was super fast.
Yeah. Well, he ended up going to Baylor.
I thought he went to UTSA. Well, I know he had went to UTSA after to run,
Right.
just to run though, not to play.
Right, yeah, okay. He
Yeah,
went to run.
because
Well, I know he was, I think he was committed, but maybe he ended up going to UTSA. But
No,
tremendous.
He went after.
He did go after. Okay, tremendous football player. But that game really ended it. And when it was all said and done, you guys knew that your high school careers was over. How tough? They always talk about how tough it is to take that jersey off.
Yeah.
How tough was it to for the last time, take that thing off?
I mean, for me, the only fear I had when playing was disappointing the fans, the community, the school. So obviously it was overwhelming. I never told anybody this, but I actually went home and cried in my room alone. 'Cause, just the type of pride I had, I didn't want to show it in front of teammates and whatnot. But yeah, obviously it was tough loss and whatnot. And but at the end of the day, we just got to move on. But I mean, if I could go back, I'll go back.
I know. Yeah, I'll never. That game's gonna stick. There's a lot of games that stick in my memory, but that one, I'm gonna tell you what Archangel did was it was like what you did against East. I mean, Archangel, and the guy wasn't very big, but he was just so fast.
Yeah, he was a fast
and
guy.
he had great spin moves. He reminded me kind of Meshach. Yeah. But end of the season, Artie, you end up getting an All-State selection. Again, the numbers that you put up that year, even hurt, because I remember you played hurt quite a few games. But were you surprised that you got the All-State selection?
It's not necessarily that I was surprised. It was expected, but I wanted more. That's just how you are as an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you get All-State, cool. I'm shooting for All-American. Didn't get there, but I shot for it. But I'm glad because, we work hard for that. We did 3 days in the summer, 110-degree heat, like they say in Friday Night Lights. We did that.
Yeah, we did.
7-on-7 pretty much all summer. We bonded. We were each other's brothers. So it wasn't necessarily that, I myself got All-State because I was there with these guys. These guys were right there pushing me to be better than what I was. Mm-hmm. And at the end, it did get rewarded for All-State, but still...
State title would have been better.
Yeah, I would love that.
So
state.
I'm sure
I
you'd
would
give everything
take
back.
every award I've ever gotten, anything, any test I ever passed. I want the state to know, like, hey, we're the best.
Yeah.
Because I felt at that time we were, but you have one major piece missing. You start off a chess game with your queen gone. I'm not calling Tony Sanchez a queen, like, no. But, he's a, so it's
Right.
just, it's hard after that, but like Eric said, if we can get that ring, man, that would be an honor.
And in all honesty, that was our goal.
It was our goal.
And
We didn't care about cool awards. We wanted a state title.
I mean, district was automatic for us.
7-on-7. That's when we realized in 7-on-7, like, hey, we can do this.
Yeah, you guys did really well in 7-on-7.
We went up first. We were still in school. We went up there to Houston. Playing Baytown Lee. Baytown Lee won that 7-on-7 in like 05.
Yeah.
We beat Baytown Lee, and that's when we started to realize, like, okay, so we win that tournament, go to the next tournament, we don't lose. Go to the next tournament, we don't lose. Go to the next one, we don't lose. And
One game I do remember 7-on-7 is Salt Lake Carroll.
yes, that was.
I mean, that's when they were. I mean, they had this whole streak and state after state after state.
We took it to them.
So they were in our group play, I think, right?
There it was.
Yeah, they were
we
in our
had the
group play in
Woodlands.
7-on-7. So we're glad to compete with them, but I mean, more happier than to beat them.
And then even that, the Woodlands was in our bracket the year before our going to junior year. They beat us for us not to make it to the winning bracket. So senior year going, Eric actually threw a touchdown to me with the siren going off, and then that's how we beat the Woodlands. And I was real happy that, hey, we beat them. And that's when you just get this confidence.
Ironically, it was the same type of pass for the Calallen.
Yep, same thing.
Wow.
You just throw it up, and I got 3 guys jumping on me, and you gotta understand too is me and Eric have been playing basketball together since the 6th grade. He's been the point guard, I've been a post, so it's just
That relationship
It's just there.
kind of synchronized with
I was
football.
going to ask you that question. How much easier did this guy make your job? And granted, everybody saw that he was just 6'4", but I don't think they understand how athletic and how much speed and movability this guy had.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, his quickness compared to your skill players, and your skill players are, just lean, smaller type of athletes, but already had that type of quickness and more, and then his size itself is, especially there's mismatches down here in the valley with that type of size.
Right.
So obviously to me it was a gift to have this type of teammate, but more importantly, a friend, because like you said, we came real
Sixth
close
grade,
over
we've been in
the
the
years.
same classes.
Yeah.
6'2", 7'3".
So that's what we got out of this. A lot of teammates of ours these days, we're still good friends with them, even if we don't see them for a long time. Yeah, a long time period. Every time we get together, it's like it's like we've been
Nothing's
together for a
changed.
minute.
Yeah,
nothing's
nothing's
changed.
changed.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. That year, again, all the accomplishments. Another district championship. You won the Built Fort Tough Player of the Year award. The beating Calallen. All the records, the numbers, everything you put up. But something people don't know, they wrote a song about you guys that year. It's going down.
Yeah.
Tiny Town Records.
How cool was that you guys can say you were the first team in Edcouch, Elsa, that they wrote a song about your football team?
It was pretty neat. I mean, what was pretty neat about it, they included all our names
They
in
included,
there.
like A-Train. That's when people start calling me
So
A-Train.
that was pretty sweet. I mean, we heard it. They would play it at the games all the time. So it was just.
It was a little anthem, man.
Yeah, it was. It was a good hype song,
Yeah.
and they played it after winning ball games and whatnot. But I just thought it was pretty cool, pretty neat.
Polly
But
was in the music video.
Yeah, there you go. So it just shows you the type of connection the football here has with fans in the community. You know what I'm saying? So just pretty cool stuff.
Moving forward now to today, can you guys believe that was almost 10 years ago?
Yeah.
That you guys played here. But now, Nino, and we always said, you're going to come back and you're going to be a coach one day. And you're like, I'm done. And how funny now you're coaching.
Yeah.
And of course, Artie, you had coached as well here for a little bit, but now, of course, you're teaching here. What does it mean to you guys to come back and be here where it all started?
It's personal, right?
I mean, growing up, but our mentors, our coaches will always mention, like, hey, look, if you have the opportunity to come back and give back, do it. And you don't really understand that at that age, you know what I'm saying? But once you get a little older, more mature, you feel the impact that you can actually cause, with the community, but most importantly with the kids. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about the kids. So to be back here and where it all started, where we grew up and whatnot, and to give back, I think that's one heck of a feeling, to be honest.
Coach Machila brought me in this past year, did the alumni talk, and got to tell these kids. And what's funny is, I went into work over here. I moved from Donna, of course, mid-January last year. And these kids, you have a helmet on, they don't know your face. They don't know that I was Artie Tanguma, their favorite player when they were in elementary. Mm-hmm. So the fact that, when I'm over there.
My favorite.
Good thing. I'm over
Besides
there.
a legend.
I'm over there and I'm talking to them, man, and I'm, they're freaking out because they see me in the halls, and I never once mentioned like, hey, yeah, I played here, blah, blah, blah. No, you gotta be a little humble. You gotta let them ask you.
There you go.
You gotta let them ask you. So after there, finally these guys that I had in the classroom that I was just real like, man, I don't whatever. They're now coming to talk to me. Hey, coach. Hey, this. Even though I'm not a coach here, it still feels good to be called coach. There you go. And I've had a couple of them talk to me and say, hey, coach, what you said out there, it really, it impacted my life because what it is you want to make sure that your community is taken care of. You want to make sure that, the kids are growing up right. It's like I mentioned to them, world right now is in a bad place right now. A lot of bad things going on. So we need to teach, our little brothers and sisters, like, hey, you need to do your homework. You need to help your mom out. You need to respect your elders. That way when we get them here at high school, when they're athletes, they're already disciplined. It's like what we say, when we start the football game, it was like 1, character, 2, discipline, 3, jacket pride.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to instill in them when they're younger.
Yep.
There you go. Guys, before we end this thing, again, I know that there's been so many great athletes, so many great players, so many great coaches that have come through.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, Joe Solis, that man, what he did here was unbelievable, and he still holds the streak.
Mm-hmm.
What did Joe mean to you guys, not only as football players, but as men?
Didn't he give us a Christmas gift? He gave us a duffel bag Christmas gift. I don't know if we were supposed to tell anybody that, but he was a good guy. He was always there for us, no matter what. He was always there. And since, my dad used to coach here, I was a little kid growing up in the field. I saw that promotion from when he started off as the equipment manager, and he was still the same man from then until the last day that I was there. So he was
intense. I'll tell you what, he brought intensity. I think he brought the best out of a lot of you guys. Because a lot of people don't. Eric was a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was a quarterback, but then, of course, George was here, so you had to convert.
Mm-hmm.
But then you went back to quarterback, and a lot of times, I even thought, I was like, oh, is he going to be able to make that transition back? But it seemed like he always brought out the best in you guys.
Yeah, he was hard on us, and
what?
obviously he expected. I mean, the standards were high.
Mm-hmm.
Just being here with Edcouch of football, so he was tough on us, but he did bring the best out of us.
Trusted us a lot.
That too.
He made sure.
I mean, there was times where I would go into his office and like, hey, coach, let me be a playmaker. Like, let me make a few audibles. Let me call my own plays. And over time, we gained that trust. And sure enough, maybe by senior year, I was out there calling a few plays.
Yes, he was. He was one of the only ones that I've seen that can go out there and just call a play. But that's Eric. Even on Madden, Eric wins 9 out of 10 times. We have Madden tournament. Eric comes out top. That's not necessarily he chooses to play. He'll audible and do this and all of that, and that's how you know.
I just feel like Peyton Manning sometimes. That's how
there you go.
That's why I knew once he started off coaching, I was like, I'm not even worried about this guy at all. Like he knows exactly what's going on, and that's what it was. A lot of trust that Coach Solis.
Coach Solis was, I think you're on point as far as him bringing the best out of us.
Guys, once again, I want to thank you for joining me. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. Again, if you get a chance, go to YouTube, go see some of the videos of these guys that are there. Highlights, playmakers, a little bit of everything, you name it. But again, this is what it's all about. Edcouch Elsa, Edcouch Elsa football tradition, this is it right here. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Cannon, signing off. See you next time.